Adrienne Novotny's life was once defined by her role as a proud military spouse. Married to Thad Novotny, a highly respected member of the U.S. Marine Corps, she was part of a family bound by values of loyalty, duty, and service. They lived on base and seemed to embody the ideals of military life. But as Adrienne's world unraveled, she descended into a dark spiral, one that would lead to an unimaginable tragedy, changing not only her life, but the lives of everyone around her. It all began with the betrayal. Thad Novotny, a Marine who had been deployed overseas, returned home to an unexpected and painful discovery. His wife had an affair with Preston Blackwood, a local fitness trainer. The affair had been a well-kept secret, but when Thad learned the truth, it shattered his world. What followed was a bitter divorce, but Adrienne's inability to cope with the betrayal would set the stage for an even darker turn of events. Thad filed for divorce in early 2023, citing irreconcilable differences. He had hoped to move on with his life, but Adrienne could not let go. In her mind, this wasn't just the end of her marriage, it was a public humiliation. She felt betrayed not just by her husband, but by her entire world. In a desperate attempt for revenge, she released a viral video accusing Thad of being emotionally abusive throughout their marriage. The video spread like wildfire, quickly gaining traction online. Adrienne's desperate plea for sympathy and attention was seen by thousands, but it was met with little understanding. Many criticized her actions, and the military community turned their back on her. As the video gained more views, Adrienne's obsession with the affair grew. She became fixated on Thad and his new life, watching from the shadows as he attempted to rebuild. Surveillance footage collected from local businesses painted a disturbing picture of her behavior. Hours were spent sitting in her car outside the gym where Preston Blackwood worked, watching as Preston continued his life as though she had never existed. On one occasion, when she attempted to confront him at the gym, security had to escort her out. The viral video only added to her infamy, further isolating her from friends and family. Adrienne's mental health deteriorated rapidly. Her younger sister, Dominique, later told investigators that Adrienne became obsessed with the video. She would watch it repeatedly, analyzing every frame and dissecting what went wrong. In her mind, it wasn't her fault, it was everyone else's. She began creating multiple social media accounts to defend herself, claiming that she had been manipulated emotionally and that Thad had been abusive. But these claims fell on deaf ears. To the community, she had already been judged. The final blow to Adrienne's already fragile mental state came when her parents, both staunch Catholics and from a long line of military families, publicly sided with Thad. In a Facebook post that quickly gained traction, Adrienne's father expressed disappointment in her actions, writing, "While we love our daughter, we cannot condone her behavior." She has betrayed not only her husband, but also the values of loyalty and sacrifice that are held dear to military families. The public rebuke from her own parents pushed Adrienne deeper into isolation. Neighbors who had once known Adrienne began reporting hearing her screams late at night. The voice of a woman in anguish echoed through the suburban streets as she argued with herself in an empty house. She began drinking heavily, and her recycling bins overflowed with empty wine bottles. Security cameras even caught her spray painting the word "coward" on Preston's Range Rover. Her reckless behavior culminated in her first arrest for vandalism. But that was just the beginning. By the late summer of 2023, what had started as a viral video of revenge turned into something far more sinister. Adrienne's obsession shifted from rehabilitating her image to destroying Thad's. Surveillance footage from their gated community showed her following Thad to and from work, even parking outside his new apartment for hours at a time. She began sending him dozens of hostile emails each day, with one particularly disturbing message reading, "You think you know about psychological warfare. I'll show you what real psychological warfare looks like." Thad, increasingly concerned, filed a police report after discovering that all 4 tires of his truck had been slashed. Although security footage captured a hooded figure committing the act, the images were too grainy for a positive identification. The situation escalated further when Thad began dating Raquel Winters, a woman who had initially informed him of the affair. Raquel had divorced her husband months earlier for unrelated reasons, but their relationship with Thad was now under public scrutiny. 3 days after their first public appearance as a couple, someone broke into Raquel's home, destroyed family photos, and left a wedding dress, presumably Adriana's, spread across the bed and stained with red wine. Local law enforcement, initially sympathetic to Adrienne, began seeing her as a serious threat. Detective Lorenzo Suarez noted in his report that Adrienne displayed classic signs of obsessive fixation and deteriorating impulse control. Multiple welfare checks were conducted, and investigators found that Adrienne's obsession was growing. Her house had become a virtual shrine to Thad and Raquel, with walls covered in photographs and news clippings about their relationship. She had also created elaborate charts and maps, tracking their daily movements with unnerving precision. A chilling note found in her journal read, "They all look at me with such pity. I'll show them what it really means to pity someone." On September 15, 2023, Thad was granted a restraining order against Adrienne. During the hearing, she appeared eerily calm and monotone, telling the judge, "He's already killed me socially. Nothing else he does matters." The judge, concerned by her demeanor, ordered a psychological evaluation, but Adrienne managed to delay and ultimately avoid the appointment through legal maneuvering. As autumn approached, Adrienne's behavior continued to spiral. She made several attempts to access Camp Pendleton, using her expired military spouse ID. On each occasion, she screamed at the gate guards before speeding off. But it was a series of critical events in the days leading up to the fatal confrontation that pushed her to the brink. During her late-night drives around the neighborhood, she discovered Thad and Raquel dining at Coastline Bistro, a restaurant where Thad and Adrienne had celebrated their wedding anniversary just a year earlier. Security footage showed Adrienne sitting in her car for hours, taking photographs and writing in a leather-bound journal. Her obsession with documenting their relationship had reached new heights. The following day, she visited 3 different shooting ranges, inquiring about membership and training programs. She was particularly interested in military-style weapons and combat training, though she ultimately did not pursue acquiring firearms. Investigators later saw these visits as signs of her escalating intentions. Her fixation was becoming increasingly dangerous. On September 28th, Adrienne confronted Raquel at the base commissary. Adrienne, a former Marine, was involved in a violent confrontation with her ex-husband Thad, who had been unfaithful during his deployments. She was caught on camera screaming at Raquel, accusing her of trying to steal her husband. Raquel declined to press charges, a decision she later regretted. Adrienne then purchased 3 disposable phones from convenience stores and used them to make anonymous calls to Thad's commanding officer and Raquel's workplace. On October 1st, Adrienne's younger sister, Dominique, attempted to intervene, but Adrienne refused, stating that therapy could not fix what was already broken. On October 3rd, 2023, Thad and Raquel attended a Marine Corps birthday ball meeting on base, and upon returning to Thad's apartment, Adrienne approached him with a manila envelope containing photos and screenshots of their relationship. The argument escalated to physical violence, and Adrienne attacked Thad with a military-grade combat knife stolen from Thad's previous attempt. Thad died on the scene. Upon arrival, Adrienne was found in a catatonic state, still clutching the knife. Raquel attempted to perform CPR, but it was too late. The scene was haunting, with Adrienne rocking back and forth beside Thad's body, whispering, "Now we're even." The investigation revealed a level of preparation that suggested Adrienne had been planning this for months, with evidence including journals, burner phones, and encrypted files detailing her obsession. Adrienne Novotny's tragic descent into obsession and violence became a case study in how unchecked mental health issues and the inability to let go of past betrayals could culminate in disaster. The military community, once so familiar with Adrienne's face, would never be the same. What had begun as an affair and a bitter divorce had transformed into a violent tragedy that claimed the life of an innocent man, a Marine, a husband, and a friend. And in the wake of it all, a community was left to wonder, how could they have known that someone so broken would fall so far?